Welcome to the Juice Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Robison, and here with these nimwits, Wyatt Frankens and Shane Campbell.
Cheers.
It's not bad.
They brought me in here to liven this thing up a little bit.
You know, we had an in-studio guest last time, and he's about half your size, but
I bet it looked a lot like this.
He was a lot of fun, man. That was a good episode. We got a lot of good feedback from that. So we decided we want to do another in-studio episode. And you just happen to be... You okay? You need a minute?
This chair is giving me hell.
He broke our chair in approximately 5 minutes.
Put a big guy in a little chair and it breaks. That's why I don't sit in the chair.
Dakota stood in that thing.
So, why are you here? We just brought you in. You just happened to be driving down the road. He called me, said, I'll be there in 2 hours. Where'd you come from?
Came from Venice, Louisiana.
What were you doing down there?
Did some red fishing. We shot with Lee Livesey down there. And, dude, it was... Listen, I'm going to look in the camera for this one. If you have not been to Venice, Louisiana, and went red fishing, go now. It was stupid.
It looked insane.
Really?
Dude, we literally probably caught 15 to 20 reds that were over 35 inches. I mean, it was insane. It was insane.
Biggins. So you guys are doing a little filming down there.
Yes, I'm about to fall out of this chair. This is ridiculous.
Do you need to sign a waiver?
I might.
Yeah. Jeez. My goodness. So you're doing a little filming for your YouTube channel, right?
Doing a little filming for the YouTube channel. Changed the YouTube channel. It's now called Real Men 96.
Oh, I saw that on Instagram. You're asking for new names.
Voted by the fans. So
okay, I voted on that. That's not the one I picked, but that's okay.
Yeah, I know. I know the one you picked, actually. It was one of the ones that got voted on.
Yeah.
Just simple B-Rob Outdoors. I liked 9-6 Outdoors. I thought 9-6 Outdoors was really good.
So what is it again?
Real Men 96.
Okay, that's how the people find you, which everybody knows who you are anyway.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, most people know me as a fisherman, not a football player.
Yeah. That's the funniest thing I think I've heard you say.
Yeah.
I say a lot of funny things.
You want to see my...
No, easy. No, so we're glad you came by to talk. We, fun story here. You know, when we talked about doing the Juice Podcast, you were in the... Brian was in the original conversation. Brian and I talked about it. Why and I talked. Everybody at the shop talked about it. And, Brian lives pretty far away. So...
3 hours. 3 hours.
He feels like he was ousted. I just feel like, it was going to work better with Wyatt being a little closer and now we have you in here to do your hosting.
I'm definitely better than you would have been for sure.
Well, let's get something straight here, okay? Let's tell the real story. The real story was today I'm on my way from Venice and Shane says, "Hey, you want to come on the podcast?" And I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Well, we really don't have anybody else." So that's kind of how the whole podcast thing came about anyway. Shane comes to Wyatt here and is like, "You want to do a podcast?" And Wyatt's like, I don't really know. I'm kind of guiding in East Texas. And then he comes to me and says, "Hey, are you interested in doing a podcast?" And I'm like, "I don't know, man. I'm not a big podcast guy." And then I kind of thought about it for a while. And I'm like, dude, like podcasts is like, they're doing it right now. So I'm like, "Yeah, Shane, I'll do a podcast." He's like, "Oh, well, me and Wyatt already decided to do it, so maybe we'll bring you on as a guest."
I didn't. You're.
No, seriously though, it was going to be way too hard for me. There's no way I can make it over here every single week to do it, and I think you guys have done a hell of a job.
Thank you, sir.
I'm going to give you guys kudos, pat on your back. You guys have done a really good job, and I think you got something special going on.
Well,
Thank you. We appreciate that, man.
Well, yeah. So let's talk about you for a minute. So you're what sport did you play again? I'm just kidding. Football.
Kind of. I kind of played football. I tricked them for a while.
So you got a cool story. I mean, let's start there. Let's start with where'd you go to high school?
Went to high school at Splendora, Texas.
Okay.
Home of the Wildcats.
That's what Brooklyn is. Where we're at now. Wildcats. I mean, they're a far better football team. We don't even have a football team.
Yeah, I was about to say, do they even have a football team?
No. Go ahead.
Yeah, so went to Splendora, grew up there, born and raised, ended up going to the University of Texas.
Yeah.
I think you're going to have a podcast guest soon that
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next one up to bat.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Literally.
No pun intended.
Yeah. But I'm obviously the better one. I'm in the Hall of Honor at the University of Texas.
Here we go.
No, I no, seriously. Went there during our heyday, when we were really good.
Yeah.
And
You
hoping to bring that back.
were you on the national championship?
I was on the national
You
championship
were
team.
back up there? Or?
No, I was not a
okay.
backup. I was kind of the star defensive end, buddy. Led the team in sacks, tackles for loss. Not that I'm bragging or anything.
Man.
I'm glad y'all have Vince Young.
Yeah, I am too. Have a ring to prove it.
Right.
I'm just messing with you, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, and
that was
then-
when Texas was.
So what year
Yeah.
was that?
That was 05. I was actually there from 02 to 06. Left there, went to the Minnesota Vikings, and was there for 11, 12 years.
Okay.
Man, I didn't realize you played for the Vikings your whole career.
Whole career.
That's hard to do.
Very hard to do.
Yeah. That must mean you were pretty good.
Yeah.
Or you didn't get kicked around.
Or you know how to trick people.
So when did you? All right, so let's talk about bass fishing now. This is bass fishing podcast. So when did you start bass fishing? Did you bass fishing your whole life, or did you kind of stumble into that at later in life?
No, I kind of bass fished my whole life. When I was little, we grew up, had a pond back there. I would bass fish all the time. I loved bass fishing, but I always did it from the bank. I never even got introduced to tournament bass fishing until really and truly I signed my second contract in the NFL, and I ended up buying a bass boat. The first boat I ever bought actually was a Skeeter. And, bought that, burnt orange and white.
Shocking.
Yeah, I know. Ended up buying that, and I got addicted. I mean, I started just fishing local lakes, doing that deal, got addicted to it, started dabbling in some local tournaments, got addicted to that.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, I went down this wormhole of fishing galore.
Yeah.
And, it led me to where I'm at now, which is, fishing the Open. Next year's I'm going to be fishing the Toyota Series, and yeah, it's
Now you're all.
I'm all in.
Now you're all in. So what about your signature sack celebration?
Oh, yeah.
'Cause you did that.
I'm the best to ever do it.
You were actually voted the top 5 worst sack celebrations in the
Well,
NFL.
let's be honest here. They voted on the worst, and they didn't even know what the hell was going on. I mean, like, seriously, I flip a jig out there, and
No, it is the best celebration I've ever seen.
It's my favorite.
I flip a jig out there, and the guy says, "Yeah, catch him on that top water, big dog." I mean, like, top water.
Bro.
Stick to announcing about football, buddy. Okay.
Yeah.
No, and then Randy Moss don't even take up for me.
What jig were you flipping?
Gosh, this is going to be bad.
You're so fidgety.
So was that celebration, did you always do that the whole time in the league?
No, so actually that came about me and my buddy, late Skeeter Fowler.
Yeah.
We were talking about it one night, and it was right before the Dallas game. We were playing in Dallas, and he was like, "Dude, it would be so sick if you got a sack tomorrow and you did like a fishing sack dance."
Oh, no.
And I was like, absolutely. So I ended up getting a sack. I did a sack dance, and then turned around the very next play, I got a sack.
Tony Romo.
And I did another sack dance, and it literally took off.
No way.
When I say it took off, like it went viral. Like I started getting calls from companies in the fishing industry, like, "Hey, you want to use my rod? You want to use this?" And that was
That
my
is
first
awesome.
experience ever with like
crazy.
sponsorship stuff. So I'm like, "Yeah, I'll take 10% off."
Yeah. I'll take your discount
I'm one of the best DNs in the league. Yeah, I'll
man.
take
Hold
10
on,
off.
that's some juice there. We'll get into. I want to
Yeah.
circle back to that.
Yeah, for sure.
Talking
that'd be-
about
that'd be
that.
Yeah, I had to
definitely
touch on the celebration because that is, for fishermen, especially, a lot of us watch football, when they automatically attach themselves to you when they saw that,
Yeah.
And I thought it was really funny when ESPN did you like that when they.
Man, they just don't know. They just don't understand.
They don't understand.
I want to go back to what jig were you flipping?
The one that catches fish.
I mean, Oldham, Strike King. What are we talking?
Well, I mean,
You don't want to give away your secrets. I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it.
if I tell, no, I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, this is the juice. You're supposed to give away your secrets on what jig you're flipping out there in the.
Oh, is that what the juice is?
Yeah.
Oh,
Brian. There might be young children watching this. Hopefully not.
Probably not.
well, if they are, they'll look up to you.
So you do. So you get into fishing, right?
Yep.
We kind of just sped through all that. Like obviously you get into it and you jump in head first. You're fishing Toyotas, you're fishing opens. We're not talking about you just like, oh yeah, let me just fish a couple of BFLs or maybe some like local stuff. Like you jumped in it pretty quick. And how was that? Like jumping into like the opens and Toyotas against guys that are at that level. You got a lot of guys that have devoted their lives to it at this point. They're very serious about it. They've probably been doing it a long time. A lot of experience behind that. How was that walking into that realm with those guys?
Well, you can pretty much look at my track record and it explains itself.
Nah, you hammered them or
no? Absolutely not. I'm getting hammered. No, I mean, and I did. I mean, I went all in immediately, and I'm glad I did that because I feel like I learned so much faster from getting your teeth kicked in.
Yeah.
Right. But and like even this year, me and Shane had a big talk, and after fishing the opens, I'm like, I don't know who I am as a fisherman. Like, I need to figure that out. And so I'm kind of taking a step back. That. I'm going to spend more time on the water, like more fun fishing, going out, just trying to learn, fishing a few tournaments, and then hopefully jumping, and I'm not saying I'm getting out of the tournament scene, but I'm going to do fewer tournaments this year, still on a big scale, because I feel like that's the best way to learn. But I never did the co-angler thing. I never did. Right. And probably hindsight 2020, I wish I did that. Just because I could sit back and watch a lot more and learn a lot more visually. But I'm also not upset that I didn't do that because it's easy to sit back and learn watching visually, but when you have to make the decisions, you force yourself to make a decision.
Right.
Versus, oh, well, this is what he did, maybe I should do. No, like you have to be your own fisherman.
Yeah.
And so I think
that's a big deal, is putting yourself in those tournament making decision, putting yourself in that place, and you learn a lot from that, and you can carry that forward. The more times you put yourself in that predicament, eventually you're going to start figuring things out.
And I'm sure it's the same thing with you guiding. Yeah. I'm sure since you've started guiding, you've learned way more than when you were just going out, periodically here, there,
it's just all the time on the water. And I even I'm open to learn anything from anybody. I've learned some stuff from some clients I've had, so.
Can you imagine what you would learn if you got on a boat with me? You would for sure learn what not to do.
I would learn some things for sure.
I'd be like, you should do this, Wyatt, and then you immediately know to scratch that off your list. Never do that in a tournament.
Another good thing though for you too is you've got some really good friends in the fishing industry that are really good that you can also learn from as well, right? Like you've been out with some. Or at least been around some.
Yeah, he's done some YouTube videos with some of the best fishermen on the planet.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the things that I love about the fishing industry is like everybody is just good old, boys that just want to have fun. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it is. And we just want to go out and smash a little green or brown fish. Yeah. Like that's all we care about, right?
Yep. No.
And
true.
So like you think of the old adages of like a celebrity and, they're going to look at me weird. And that, I just don't get that vibe in the fishing industry. And I love it because, we just filmed with Lee Livesey. I've been on the boat with Polinick, Seth Fider, like all these guys. And they're just so personable. And you learn a ton from those guys.
Who's your favorite?
Man.
Not necessarily favorite person, but like who did you have like the most memorable fishing trip with? Let's say that.
The most memorable fishing trip was probably Seth Fider.
Yeah.
Dude, it was one of those days that I literally almost put the rod down and said, I'm just going to watch this happen. Like,
really?
And I'm not trying to boost my own self here, but like go watch that YouTube series video.
I'm assuming y'all were up north.
We were up north. Okay. We were in a small lake in Minnesota at Lake None Your Business.
There's only 1,000 lakes in Minnesota.
Yeah, well, we're going to make sure it's at Lake None Your Business. But no, we had plus Seth Fider told me he would slash my tires or something like that if I ever told him.
He looks like somebody who slashed tires.
Yeah,
just saying.
For
I
sure.
like the guy a lot, but I wouldn't question that.
No, not at all. But dude, it was one of those deals where we as athletes talk about getting in the zone. I witnessed it.
He was in it.
He was in it, and I wanted to be in it so bad, and I just couldn't find the door.
Yeah.
He is. I mean, he's the reigning angler of the year. Just put on one of the most dominant angler of the year performances the Bassmaster Elite Series has pretty much ever seen. Next to one of the years that Aaron Martin's had. And that dude literally locked in all year. So you're with a guy who knows about locking in.
And think about this. I mean, and I don't think it's talked about enough. You're also talking about a guy that did that, but was very close from being on his way out.
Really?
Like, think about it. You can
Yeah,
ask him about it. He was so close to, like, literally not having the money and things like that to all of a sudden he's one of the biggest names in the industry.
I had no idea. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So that just goes to show you we don't know what's going on behind the scenes of these guys.
Yeah, so was it Zona that he had a conversation? Who was it? You or somebody had a conversation with? I remember hearing this story, and he had a conversation with somebody. He's like, "Look, man, I don't know if this is for me. Like, I don't know if I can hack it."
I think it was Zona. Don't quote me on that, but
Yeah,
I think him and Zona had a talk, and I know him and Zona are really tight buds.
Yeah.
And dude, I've had a lot of conversations with Zona. You talk about a guy that just loves the fishing industry and loves to see guys be successful. Like, I've had a lot of conversations with Zona, and dude, I can't say enough good things about that guy either.
Yeah, well, you think you can talk him into coming on here? I mean, we might have to get more than 100 followers.
Dude, honestly, like, he would probably be the guy that would spill some juice. Like,
Oh, he's got to.
bud.
know some stuff.
He would be a good one.
Yeah.
Especially for a lot of topics that we've talked about. He would have some legitimate answers.
I mean, I think if you grow your following up to a few million followers, he'd probably do it.
Okay, so what you're saying is not going to happen.
I'm saying having me on here more often will at least get you at least like 250 or 300 followers.
1,000.
No, I was trying to make you think that was going to happen, but it didn't.
Russian bot followers or like real people?
Well, what does it matter?
So you get thrown into that realm. I guess the next question for me, I think a lot of people when they see a guy like yourself, or because there's been other guys that have came in from other sports and stuff that have done the bass fishing thing. Like, what are you wanting to get out of the industry? Is professional fishing your goal, or are you just what is your goals in the industry as a whole?
Man, my goals is to spread the sport and the love of fishing that I have. I mean, it's as simple as that. Like, listen, I love tournament fishing. And if I ever qualify, which it does not look like it's going to happen anytime soon, if I ever qualified, I would circle the wagons on that and have a conversation with my family about that. But, dude, I came from a sport where I spent so much time away from my family.
True.
That do I really want to go jump into a sport that, in all honesty, probably spends even more time away from my family?
Yeah, that's something I didn't think about.
I don't know if I want to do that. But at the same time, like, for me, and the whole reason I started this YouTube series was to basically share the sport of fishing, like my passion for it, allow the fans that I gained in Minnesota playing football.
Sure, people that didn't even fish.
Yeah, to follow along. Like, what am I doing post-career? Most guys you see retire from the NFL or any other major sport, they just kind of fall off the face of the planet. And I didn't want to do that because you hear people ask all the time, well, have you ever talked to such and such? They just don't see anything about them anymore. Like,
I heard he's a used car salesman in Minneapolis.
I wanted them to be able to follow along. What is Brian Robison doing? Oh, I just talked about myself in third person. What is he doing after football? Well, It's out there. This is what I'm doing. I love fishing. It's my passion. Even invested in fishing industry.
Yeah.
That's something to touch on right there.
Yeah.
So what are you invested in there, B-Rob?
This little tackle store on the south end of Rayburn called Tackle Addict.
Yeah.
I have a business partner that is lousy. Got into it 2 years ago with Shane here. And
your ex-employee.
Yeah, ex-employee. So let me tell you about this guy.
I'm the best gosh dang employee Tackle Addict's ever seen.
He's the best employee that we've ever gotten rid of. It was No, seriously, we have a lot of fun at the shop. I don't get over there near as much as I'd like to, but it's a fun venture. It's a challenging venture, especially right now. We could talk about that all day long, but it's one of those deals that, in all honesty, it was the perfect opportunity at the right time, and I got involved because I wanted to.
Yeah, so we kind of met each other through fishing. We actually, I don't know if you remember this. I know we've talked about it a bunch, but first time I met you, we were at Lake Fork. You were fishing with Skeeter, and Jeff and I were fishing with Mark Pack, and we met at the little cafe there at the marina. And I think this was like right before you're about to go into season or something.
I was about to literally go to training camp.
Yeah, and I knew you were a football player, and this guy, like, poor little waitress comes around. She doesn't have enough paper on her freaking pad to write down what this man ordered. a chef salad. Matter of fact, let me get 2 of them chef salads. Let me get 6 or 7 pork chops. You know, make that 8 pork chops. Let me get a half pound of bacon. You got any T-bones back there? And then
should have seen what I ate for breakfast.
And I was like, bro, what in the world? And he's like, yeah, I got to eat like, it was something ridiculous. He told me, I have to eat like 14,000 calories a day or something. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous what I eat, and it's pretty obnoxious at the same time, because when you're trying to order and then the waitress thinks you're done and she goes to the next person and you're like, well, no, I'm not done, ma'am. I got 6 more plates to order.
No, so we met back then at Fork and ran into each other on the water, and we've seen each other at tournament scenes and hung out a couple of times, kind of became friends, kind of. And when Jeff was stepping down, I was like, man, I need somebody to jump in this with me, and thought of B-Rob, and we got a good friendship. And
thought of B-Rob, or you thought of money?
Dan, did you just call me out like that?
He's like, oh, I know a guy that's got a lot of money.
Jeez.
But the problem you didn't think about, Shane, is 86% of NFL players go broke within 2 years.
Well, that's why
I've been involved with you for 2 years.
Well, yeah.
Very true.
No, well, that was an awkward interaction for me.
You wanted the juice.
Yeah.
No, I mean, in all honesty, though, like, we've had some challenging couple of years, high water, floods, tournaments being shut down, tournaments rescheduled, COVID, supply chain issues. I mean, we could go through the whole gamut. We could make all the excuses in the world, but right now we're still ticking.
Yeah, man, we're real seasonal down here, and that's part of it too. But you're right. We're still ticking. We're still fighting and clawing and doing our thing, and happy to have you on board, and things are going really well, and I'm enjoying it. I mean, the industry's fun. Like he said, the industry's so small, and it's a good group of people. It really feels like a family kind of once you get involved and get to know all these guys, even people that you've looked up to before you get involved. And, I wouldn't do it any other way, man. Let's just hope for a good 2022, no floods, because the tournament season coming up is looking ridiculous.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of fishermen on Sam Rayburn.
Oh, man, it's going to be busy. It's going to be so busy. So, and hopefully things level out with supply chain issues. I mean, for those of you that watched the Casey Sobzak episode, he touched on some really, really good stuff, and that hasn't gotten a whole lot better yet. I think we still got another year, be my guess, before things kind of shape up better, but we'll see.
That's crazy.
We'll see.
That long.
Yeah.
Because it's already been so long.
I want to, while we're on this subject, I want to talk about something, and that's price increases.
Price increases for
everybody. I mean, it starts at the bottom, right?
Board.
It's not the manufacturers that are doing it to try to make more money. I want that to be clear. It's the shipping costs and material costs. Everything has gone up. So manufacturers have higher costs, then the retailers receive higher costs, which in turn goes back down to the customer. So
the retail it's kind of tough as the retailer, because you take the kind of the
blunt of it all.
Yeah. We're the buffer for the manufacturers from the customers that walk in and go, what? 10XDs, how much now? You know?
And that's why Shane gets a salary and I don't, because he has to deal with it and I don't. Hey, do you have any 10XDs up there? Well, I got Shane Campbell's number, and you can call him and ask him.
You can call him and ask him.
He probably ain't going to answer.
Yeah. No, it's a real thing, and I don't think tackle is going to get any cheaper. Honestly, tackle is not going to get any cheaper.
Casey said it himself. That's just how you just can't. For even him, it can't happen.
And the reality is, I think we're just now starting to see some of the price increases. Everybody's kind of falling in line.
Well, and even Casey said in the podcast, like, don't be surprised if, like, this time next summer.
Yeah.
It's even higher.
Yeah. So, I mean.
Hold on to your tackle tight.
Yeah. Real tight.
Yeah.
I mean, get you a lure knocker.
And make sure you buy a good chair. Goodness.
Sorry.
I'm just going to stand up.
Dude, you can't stand up. You're way.
Oh, my gosh.
No way, dude.
Hold on a minute. Let's get Dakota back in here.
7 foot even.
No, so yeah, my advice, and I think Brian would say the same thing. If you go to your favorite tackle shop or wherever you like to shop, or even if you're by a shop that you've never been into and you see something you use, even if you're not using it right now,
get it.
You better buy it. You better buy it.
Yes, sir.
But anyway, I want to circle back to something that you did that was really cool. And I hope you do it again because we got some really cool stories from that, and that was the Reel 'Em In Foundation.
Yeah, so it's funny you bring that up because, just with life, COVID, all that stuff, we just haven't done it in a few years. And it's not that I haven't wanted to. It's just that things have just been so crazy that I haven't been able to.
Yeah, no, we get that.
I'm hoping to bring it back in 2023. I don't know if we're going to bring it back to Texas yet. I hate to say that, but I think we're going to do a trial run at it in Minnesota just because the Vikings guys, I can get them there. It'll do a lot better. And then I hope maybe, and who knows, I'm not going to rule out 2023, but we bring it back to Rayburn. And I would love to do that because it was an event that I loved putting on. It was an event that I enjoyed having the guys here. I enjoyed bringing these guys to Rayburn because honestly, like, it was so personal for people to be able to go up and meet them, right?
Yeah,
like,
no, it was
you got guys like, I mean, some of the top guys in the industry, and then you're bringing athletes in and things like that. I mean, hell, the one year we had Luke Combs here before he made it big and like had like a mini concert in the stump. Like,
that's a cool story.
How about that? And so I want to do it again. I mean, I think it would be awesome to bring that back. And so yeah, if there's any sponsors out there that want
to jump on board.
Just email them your sponsor packet.
Yeah, sponsor packet.
So you think you're going to have another one? What are you shooting for? 2023 maybe?
I'm thinking 2023. I think it's way too late right now to try to get on anything in 2022. No. But I think, if we can, kind of make sure that we set aside some time to get it done, then I think 2023 is a very real possibility.
Yeah. Okay. I'd like to see that again.
Great event.
I would too.
Yeah. Super cool event. And what was that event about?
So what we did was we basically raised funds for Canines for Cops. That's what we did it for every year we were there. And basically that's an organization that puts a canine into agencies that either can't afford a canine, have lost a canine in duty, right? Mm-hmm. And the cool thing about it was the auction night. Like, we had the auction night where guys would come in, guys and girls would come in, have a dinner. They would get to mingle with these pros, pro fishermen, football players, baseball players,
musicians.
Yeah, musicians. I mean, whatever. Whoever I could get in there, we would get them in there, and we literally would pair the celebrities with a fisherman, auction those guys off, and whoever won that auction got to fish with them on the Saturday. And then on Sunday, we had an open tournament. So it was an awesome event all the way around. And, I mean, I have many ideas about it. Like, even moving forward, things that I've learned that I think could make it a little bit more efficient, things that I think could make it even more power-packed. I mean, all this stuff. So, I mean, obviously it's not that I ever stopped thinking about it. It's just that we just haven't had time to do
man. Yeah, it was bad. It's been a rough 2 years.
Yeah, no doubt.
For all kinds of stuff like that. Well, hopefully we'd love to see it back here again. I mean, I think that'd be awesome. That was a really good time. So,
agreed.
Definitely.
So we kind of always talk about this. It seems like a subject we repeat a lot, but I don't think you can talk about it too much. So you're a pro athlete. You're retired now, but pro fishermen don't get the same benefits, or how do we word this? The same benefits. They don't see the same rewards at reaching the highest level of our sport that, say, an NFL player did.
They're not foreseen as a major sport.
Sure. So for you, I mean, I feel like you're a great person to ask this because you got both sides of the coin here. You were a professional athlete in the NFL, and now you're in the fishing industry, and you fish with these guys. I mean, what do you think needs to happen? Where do you think they need to be? Where does sport need to go?
Since we're on the juice, let me lay my disclaimer out there. Okay, this is not bashing any organization. Like, this is not what that is about. But when you look at the major sports, okay, it doesn't matter which one it is. It doesn't matter if it is football, baseball, basketball, hockey, any of them, right? There is one major brand out there. Now, there's a bunch of little stuff. For example, football. You have the NFL. Mm-hmm. Now you've got arena football. You've got Canadian League. You've got all these different leagues. You've had the XFL. You've had everything, right?
Yeah, sure.
But the one major brand is the NFL, and that is what everybody shoots for.
Sure.
Okay? Now, with that, what does the NFL bring to the table, and how do they make money? Well, number one, they have the premier athletes in the world in that sport. Mm-hmm. Number two, They have the stadiums. They've got all this stuff, right? That's all cool and dandy. But the number one thing they have is TV money.
Gotcha.
When you look at it, the amount of money that the NFL makes off of TV is insane.
It's everything.
Okay? So let's kick that over to fishing. To me, until there is one organization, and I don't care which one it is, but until there is one organization, that could be a current one, that could be a new one. Until there's that, you won't get that. And I'll tell you why.
I agree 100%.
Because the field is going to get spread out.
The talent spread.
The talent is spread. The sponsor money is spread because sponsors some will do this, some will do that. Others will do multiple, right? So that money gets spread thin. Whereas if you have one that says, these are the best fishermen in the world, okay, you can still have all this other stuff, but these are the best fishermen in the world.
Yeah.
And the sponsors say, you know what, we are going to sponsor that. And then before you know it, the sport starts to grow. Then all of a sudden you see these TV companies coming in and say, hey, we want to air all your tournaments on this channel. We're going to pay you to do it. We want to sign a 10-year contract with you to air it on TV. Now you get to a point where some of these fishermen are no longer paying for entry fees, but instead they're getting paid before the season ever starts because that is their salary. And I think until we have that strictly one organization that says these are the best fishermen in the world, it's not going to happen. And I don't even know if it'll ever happen in our lifetime. I can talk about this all we want,
right?
But in a way, we're so ingrained that this is how the fishing industry works.
Yeah, but is it not fairly new development that there's this division of the sport? I think the main word that you're getting across here and that I'm hearing is unity. I mean, we gotta.
The difference between a lot of the major sports versus this sport, and listen, it took a long time for it to happen in those sports, is you look at most of these, they have a union, right? So the players can stand up, stick up for themselves, and if there needs to be a lockout, there's a lockout. Like, we're not going to play. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
A fisherman can't do that.
We're not going to fish.
Well, Shane,
did I not say that?
You've talked about a union for fishermen.
Yeah.
Starting that.
But
all the talent needs to get together and do that.
And here's the issue with that. And it's the same thing even with those. Like, unless you have a solidarity and you have a keepsake for those guys, they won't extend the lockout. You know what I'm saying? So we have an issue all the time in the NFL where if we get to a point of a lockout, there's players that are like, I need that money. Like, give me whatever you can give me. I need that money, right?
Yeah.
And so there's some that are not willing to do it. Like, I'm going to go play, right? Well, that's where the separation starts happening. Fishermen are kind of in that category where it's like some of them are, they're literally living from tournament to tournament.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I'd say.
So for them to say,
no, we talked to Dakota, and that's what he said. He was at a grand event. And he said,
so think about it. How are those guys going to say, I'm not going to fish?
Oh, they won't.
It can't.
Because in our sport's even worse because there's so many people trying to qualify.
Yep.
If somebody else steps away, they're like, I'm taking my chance.
Yeah, but you don't think if we pulled the major names, like if the major names united, I'm talking your Poliniks, your Swindles, your Evers, your Jordan Lees, and the major names in the sport, not taking away from the young cats coming up, doing their thing, making a name for themselves. I get it, and I respect their decision to look, I just made it here. I'm staying no matter what. But if those guys leave, or I'm not saying even leave, but if they demanded
more,
demanded a better opportunity for all anglers, and what they're doing is not for themselves; it's to pave the way for our sport. But all this division's going to get us nowhere.
If you think about it, in a way, it's kind of almost what they've already done. The biggest names they all went to the BPT. They all got together and formed the BPT. It's kind of already, I can't say it's already been done to the fullest because there was obviously still some of the biggest names left over on the elite side, but they kind of did do that at the BPT.
But they didn't get everybody.
No, they absolutely did not. I'm not saying that at all. They didn't, but they did in a way.
And it's still split though. Think about
Definitely
this.
Still split.
So the MLF, let's put this in perspective. The MLF did an amazing job of saying, you know what, you guys are not going to have entry fees. Okay, they did that
for 1 year.
For 1 year.
exactly, and now it's come back to what it's at. Bassmaster has done an amazing job of getting TV involved,
Yes, they have.
right? But once again, it's split. This is not one organization.
No.
So until you have one organization that says no entry fees, TV money, such and such, such and such, it's going to get spread thin.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and you know, like I said, I don't know if it'll ever happen. I would love to see it happen because honestly, I don't think these guys get enough respect for what they do. The amount of time they're on the road, the amount of time they're away from their families.
Yeah.
I don't do it to that aspect. You know, you don't do it to that aspect. Wyatt's getting into that aspect. But,
Yeah, and it's a grind.
Even still, like, I mean, you know, we talked to Seth Fighter, Polinick. Those guys are on the roads 3 months at a time. Maybe longer, maybe a little shorter, but at the end of the day, they're on the road.
Oh,
And they're sleeping in their trucks. They're sleeping on the side of the road at rest stops, all this other stuff. And I don't think they get the respect that they should get for the life they live in order to chase a dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've said it before on the show that where it makes no sense in my mind that at the highest level of our sport, it costs the most.
Yeah,
It is so expensive.
I compare it to rodeo. Rodeo's the same thing. If you look at rodeo and fishing to me are very similar. They're not the exact same, but they're very similar. As in, even the biggest names in the sport have to pay an entry fee in order to do what they love to do.
Yeah.
Right? And so they're paying money versus like a football player that's getting paid money before he ever steps foot on a football field.
Yeah.
Does a PBR do that?
Everybody.
Really?
Now, a lot of those big name guys are kind of like some big name guys in our sport, is where like they've got Ariat and Wrangler
Yeah, they
and
got
guys like
big
that
sponsors.
paying their way. But obviously, still on that side, I'm sure it's not very many guys that are getting their whole
It's a low
whole deal
percentage.
paid for, just like ours,
Yep.
just like ours. And just to kind of go off what you just said, how hard it is. A lot of these guys that you see that are getting a lot of their stuff paid for, or if not all of their stuff paid for, if not making money before they make a cast, because there is a few out there that are making money before they make a cast. But you have to understand about these guys. Not only have they caught them, but a lot of them are putting a lot of time and effort into YouTube channels, into social media. Like they are a businessman on the business side of the, like, and I've always said this too, and I'm learning more about it now, is there's a business side and there is the fishing side. And if you don't have this business side figured out over here, it's going to be dang hard to make it over here. I'm not saying that you can't, but it's going to be really hard to make it over here on the fishing side.
You
If
better
ain't-
catch them every tournament.
Dude, and that's just not going to happen.
And even then, it's just not going to cut it. It's not enough.
It's just not. I mean, seriously, it is. Look at the checks. Look at first place on an Elite Series event or first place on a tour event. It's $100,000, right? That's a lot of money to win at one time, but it cost them $70
Yeah.
to fish the whole. In entry fees are paying like $35 is what the tour's paying, and after you add up all the costs and stuff, it's got to be at least $70,000 to live somewhat comfortably on the road.
Well, think about it.
I mean,
Even-
that's winning one. You know what I mean?
Even fishing the opens, like let's talk about the opens or Toyota Series, $1,700-$1,800 a tournament.
Yeah.
All right. So you're $1,700-$1,800 a tournament into it. So let's just say a little over $5,000, right? You're over $5,000 into it. Then by the time you talk about gas, travel, lodging, everything else, food, everything else like that, I mean, let's just be safe to say another $2,500
For every event?
No, for total.
Oh, okay.
So another $2,500 on top of that.
Yeah, that's. Are you saying $2,500 to fish all three?
I'm saying with your travel, your lodging, everything.
To fish each one.
$2,500 a piece.
$2,500 total. That's on cheap side. I'm saying cheap side.
Yeah, that's real cheap.
Yeah, I'm saying cheap side.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just say $7,500 into it.
Yeah.
If you cash a check in every single one of them, you don't even make that money back.
What is a check in the open?
What is it, like 1,800, 1,900?
Shane doesn't
Two-
know.
$2,000?
He only top fives them.
No.
Well, I'll tell you this. The very
I want to say
first.
it's 3,000.
So I just want to
$3,000. I think
throw
it's
this out
$3,000.
here. The very first Toyotas, or well, back then it was the Costa. Very first Costa I fished. I cashed a check. No big deal. Haven't
He
cashed
swole
one.
up when he said that. Y'all see
Haven't
that?
cashed one since. But
Hey.
the very first one I cashed, it was a
I'm gonna look it up.
$1,500 entry fee. I think I cashed a check that was like $1,700 and some change. So I made $295 off that tournament.
You didn't make anything after gas. Yeah.
Let's think exactly.
That's crazy.
Exactly.
It's.
I lost money.
Okay, here I pulled it up.
What you got? You got the payout. This
40th place is 2,300.
and that's based on a full field.
That's 150.
So a full field's 230 in the opens,
Yeah, so it's actually that's why I want to say it was like 3,000. They only pay 40 places,
and they only pay 40 no matter what.
because there was 200 something in all of them now.
Yeah.
There's over 200 boats. There's like 230 boats.
If there's
in each one.
230 boats in the open, you get 40th. You better be getting some change.
Yeah, I think it's like
Quite
$3 grand, but that's not very much.
Not out of 230.
No,
I mean,
no. But okay,
it's a hard thing to do.
I'm gonna say this with the opens, the grassroots. I get the organizations have to have some sort of income, right?
For sure.
And there may or may not be enough sponsorship dollars to go around to pay the anglers to participate in that organization. They need their own sponsorship money to pay their employees and everything that it takes to run those things. So at the grassroots level, until you reach that level, and I'm not calling the opens grassroots, but those lower levels is where they probably need to, they have to make a little bit of money.
Yeah, I'm not saying. Yeah,
But at the pro level, they
Yeah.
should not be taking any money from the talent that has reached the pro level of that organization.
And, I mean, we're talking how many guys
The
are on
payout should be over 100%.
How many guys are on the elites? We're talking
100. Now they cut down to 90.
90. 90 guys.
Yeah, we're gonna do an episode with Daryl. We're gonna talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you. Well, I'm just saying it's not that many guys.
No.
To take
No,
care
it was
of.
100 last year. They're cutting down to 90, and I think their goal is to cut down to 80.
Right.
So
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into that. I know that they've got to spend. There's no telling how many marketing dollars they're spending on trying to get the TV and stuff going on their side. I understand that, but something's got something needs to be done.
something's got to change.
And I talked about this last time, or on one of the episodes too. B-Rob, like there's been classics pay out $1 million before.
Right.
They used to pay out a lot back when we had these big sponsors in the fishing industry.
Yeah.
Like we had Walmart and like Castrol or something like that, whiskey companies, Coca-Cola,
Yep.
where
Big
did those
non-endemic sponsors.
where did those guys go, and why can't we get them back? The sport's as big as it's ever been.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's the question that needs to be answered.
Seriously, I mean that's a big one.
And I mean, and
That's a big one. That
we
could change
sit-
everything.
And you could sit here and talk about this all
Yeah.
you want, but
Yeah.
you can look at it from different perspectives and literally contradict yourself over and over.
Yeah,
again.
you can.
Well,
You're
that's
just
why we
like-
wanted it from your perspective
Right.
as somebody who played in the NFL for 11 years.
Yep, 11 years.
We want to see what you think. So
Well, and that's just my opinion. I mean, I think there has to be that one deal. I know I keep repeating it, but there has to be that one organization that says we are the premier athletes in our sport. Nobody is better
agree.
than us. And
Yeah.
until that happens, it's just
100%. No, that's
an agreeable point. I think anybody can agree with that.
and that's why we want to keep talking about it. I mean, we're nobody. We got a tiny little blip on the radar following here, but if we don't start having these conversations out loud, nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
and the thing about it is nobody's at fault here.
No.
And I'm not saying this to be politically correct, but nobody is at fault. There is a reason why this industry keeps growing. It's
Right.
being successful, right? It's not going away.
No.
Like there's more fishermen in this industry, and I'm not even talking about professionally fishing. I'm talking about in general. There's more fishermen out there right now than there probably ever has been before.
I think the stat was 10 million new licenses sold.
That's ridiculous.
So that's what I'm saying. It's not that we're doing the wrong thing. It's just we are talking from a basis of a professional angler standpoint.
Yeah.
Of how do we get these guys paid?
Yeah.
Yep.
Because of what they have to because what they have to go through.
Agreed.
They deserve it.
Agreed with that.
So tough.
So this year, I know you said it already, but I just want to circle back to that. So this year, you just focus on Toyota Series?
Focusing on Toyota Series, focusing on a lot of content.
Yeah.
A lot of content going into 2022. It's going to be a big content year for me.
Yeah.
And I don't see myself as a YouTuber. I don't see myself as a professional angler. I just see myself as a guy that loves to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to make a lot of content. I'm going to try to learn who I am as a fisherman. I'm going to try to finish above 100th place in a Toyota series.
You got it.
You got that, dog.
It's not like I'm fishing against scrubs. I mean, I'm fishing against some hammers out here on Rayburn for 2 tournaments.
Shane and myself, you know.
Like guys other than Shane and himself.
Hey, you know, we all 3 went on a trip together to a special
You were
place.
there for world record Wyatt's.
This dude would not stop calling me the mean mouth master.
Mean Mouth Master.
After
Wyatt Mean Mouth Master Frankens.
The mean mouth.
Tell him, no, go ahead and tell him what you really said after you found out it was a mean mouth.
Well,
It's
here's
not
the
a mean
deal.
mouth.
Here's
It's
the deal.
really not. It's called a hybrid.
Here's the
not a
deal.
mean mouth.
I really was making more fun of him because he didn't know what a smallmouth looks like, apparently.
Dude, it was
Look, I got a world record smallmouth.
I
And
didn't
I'm
say
like,
the world.
It's not a
said lake
smallmouth.
record. Lake record.
That's a mean mouth.
You didn't know.
Oh, I knew immediately when I looked at it that it wasn't a smallmouth.
But what did you say about my fish after we found out it was a half largemouth, half smallmouth?
Trash fish. That's what I call it.
Yeah, I said, congratulations, you caught a world record on a fish that doesn't mean crap.
You said I'd have thrown it back.
Can I ask you a question? How many sponsorships have you gotten from that mean mouth record?
Man, really none.
It's
Most of those
not-
came
hey,
from.
It's not going to get any better.
He was on Fox News.
I was on Fox News.
We should start a new tournament trail. Mean Mouth Masters. Mean Mouth Masters.
We can only go to about 3 lakes. But
It's not a mean mouth, bro. It's not a mean mouth.
What is it?
Look it up. That's
Dude.
why it's a world record, because it's not a mean mouth. It's
Dude,
never been caught before.
You should have saw some of the comments I was reading on like some of the pages that it was.
I think
posted.
Shane's jealous. I think.
Oh, yeah.
Let's tell the whole story here. Okay, let's tell the whole.
we know the whole story.
We told him.
Oh, you've told the whole
We-
story?
we haven't- we-
So somebody's just a little bitter that they had their world record broken, but never will be mentioned in the record books because they didn't weigh it in.
I did weigh it in, but my paperwork doesn't count because Wyatt and I turned them in at the same time.
Oh, well, that sucks.
I asked Wyatt. I said, you want some juice? Here's some juice. I said, Wyatt. So we waited on we waited on the same set of scales. First set of scales that waited on, they weighed the same.
No, they
but
didn't.
Yes, it did. But Wyatt's looked bigger.
No, you
Yes,
remember
it did.
it went 8. Mine went 8.2
It didn't
on
lock.
that
It
bull
didn't
crap
lock.
scale.
That's
didn't
what
lock.
she said.
That scale is. If my record gets broke, I'm gonna say it here first. It's because somebody went over
No,
there.
but hold on,
and
hold on.
figured out that scale at that ramp.
That scale was crap.
Bogus.
It was total crap.
I
So-
could have turned in an 8.0 locked in for that fish. I could have turned that in, but I did not. I did the right thing.
I'm surprised they make a mean mouth scale.
You did.
This dude's an idiot.
No,
Yeah.
seriously, we had
that was a
so
good
much
time.
fun that week because I was jacking with them. So, and really and truly, I was just bitter because I didn't catch one.
Why didn't I get to finish my
Dude, it
story
was
here? That was
tough.
kind of rude.
It was kind of tough.
Well, you guys got there, and he calls me. He's
like
like, "Where are
Dakota
you
just
at?" And
interrupts.
I'm like, well, so what are you gonna do about it?
Absolutely jack.
Okay.
Nothing.
So he calls me. He's like, dude, I've got a giant smallmouth. So I'm like, dude, I'm like 4 hours away. I'm trying to get there. Obviously, we know what happened the week before that. So I'm like jacked up. Then he's like, oh my God, Wyatt caught a big one too. So I'm like, gosh, dude, we're going to smash him when we get there. And I get there and I start throwing these baits at these fish on forward-facing sonar.
Backward facing sonar.
And these fish are looking at my bait and they're like, I'm not touching that. And they're taking off. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Shane, how are you catching these? He's like, I'm just dangling it in front of their face and catching it. Every time I'm like, evidently I'm not wiggling my worm right. It's not happening.
I don't know exactly what happened, but they were definitely running away from the Alabama.
Well, I'll
lake.
tell you what happened. You got a small lake and there's 946,000 boats on there every single day. Them fish didn't know what the hell was
They're
going
getting
on.
hitting with Q beams.
They're
down
like, that's the
there.
same bait that got Bobby.
No kidding though. I mean that place. There ain't no telling what kind of pressures on that place now too.
And still pumping 40
I saw a
pound bags.
picture. I saw a picture of a 12 pounder was caught there.
Yesterday or the day before.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah.
got giants. It's had giants in it.
Yeah.
Long time.
Yeah.
But it got to a point where it was just a perfect storm to where it was catchable if you could scope them.
But I want to circle back to mean mouth because it's not a freaking mean mouth.
Why is it
Brian.
not a mean mouth?
Because a mean mouth, a true mean mouth, is a small mouth spot cross.
Okay, you should look it up because I've Googled this numerous times.
Dude, the amount of
A mean mouth
He's
is
got a-
actually a small mouth crossed with a spot, or a smallmouth crossed with a largemouth.
Not true.
You want to bet?
Yeah.
Google doesn't
Google it.
lie.
Here we
Google
go.
it.
Here we go, guys.
In fact, you
Google
know
it.
what? Hey Siri, what's a mean mouth? Phone didn't work. Hey Siri.
What is that? An Android? You can't call her Siri.
It's iPhone 1.
No, a mean mouth is a spot crossed with a smallmouth or a spot crossed with a largemouth. A smallmouth, largemouth has never been documented. So when Wyatt calls me and he goes, "Hey man, Parks and Wildlife hit me up. They said it's a largemouth, smallmouth cross." Okay, and I said, "Dude,
The mean-mouth bass is most common.
Here we go.
Did he just mute me?
Come on, man. Get him back on.
All right, let me talk about this.
okay."
The mean-mouth bass is most commonly a hybrid species that occurs when a spotted or largemouth bass mates with a smallmouth bass. Do you want me to repeat that, sir?
That article is bogus because he has the world record. It is Parks and Wildlife, and what is it?
Do you
the
know what a
IFGA?
world record is? It's the biggest one ever caught.
Parks and Wildlife.
And
I'm going to meet you again.
I'm trying to find what they actually put it in as.
Wyatt just
You know,
wants
we got
to
about
see his
7
name.
minutes, and we got to get somebody more important than you on the show.
They said
so.
they just said largemouth.
Whoa.
It's going to be hard to find.
They just said largemouth, smallmouth. That's all they put it as.
Listen,
Anyway.
Parks and Wildlife, Texas Parks and Wildlife said it has never been documented in the state of Texas a largemouth, smallmouth cross. I get that. So then I told Wyatt, I said, "Hey man, you need to contact, is it IFGA? Right? IFGA?
Yes.
That handles world
Yes,
records?
yes.
I said, you need to contact them because what I saw on their website, a largemouth, smallmouth cross has never been documented. And so he turns in the paperwork, and sure enough,
Yeah, Shane was the one that was like, dude, you need to call that.
so you can say that I'm jealous, and I am a little bit.
You're not jealous.
I'm happy for my guy here, but
He's not jealous.
but I am also the one that told him you need to turn that in. Am I not?
Yeah, you said you need to call the IGFA for sure, and I did. I called them,
Boom.
and they said,
Show's
man,
over.
They said, man, we've been waiting to hear from you. We've been waiting to hear from you.
What you got now? What
I'm
else-
just seeing a
what
lot
else
of
you gonna
articles
Google?
where it says what a mean mouth is. Look, there's another one.
You know what? I
The
didn't
mean
read
mouth
this.
bass is a rare smallmouth, largemouth hybrid of the species.
Who wrote that?
A mean mouth bass is a hybrid between either a largemouth bass. I mean, it's all of them, dude.
Dude, this was a big argument on a lot of people's
I mean-
social media posts and stuff.
I mean, honestly, let's think about this. What does IGFA know? IFGA.
IGFA.
IGFA or IFGA?
It's,
International
it's
Fishing
IGFA.
IGFA.
IGFA. You
I
should
can't
know.
fix
You're
it.
the record holder.
Yeah, you should know. What?
You're the one with the plaque, not us.
They did send me a plug. That's about it. I don't even get a free mount out of the deal.
What?
What?
I didn't even get a mount.
For a world record trash fish, you don't get a...
Hey, that was a Mustad hook, wasn't it? You remember
Hey.
when Mustad had the $1 million bounty on catching a world record fish?
Dude,
with-
I wish.
Hold
I
on.
wish they
It
still
was a
had that.
Mustad hook.
Yeah, it was a
It
Mustad.
was a Mustad. Mustad.
You know what?
I get 20%. You hear me?
Triple grip.
You know what the cool thing is?
Tell me.
Me and Wyatt have something in common. I think we just became best friends.
Why are you rubbing my shoulder
and we're,
like that,
and we're going to do karate in the garage when we're done here.
Why are you rubbing me like that?
What?
We're both record holders of trash fish.
What is yours, dude?
A bowfin.
He's got the bowfin
I
record
got the
on.
bowfin record on
world
Lake
record?
Somerville. So I'm starting new guide services, Brian Bowfin Robison's guide service. We're going to do a tournament trail called Bowfin Bashers. And yeah, it's going to probably be the
Bowfin
biggest. We will be
Bashers.
the only organization, so
Yeah.
we will pay our anglers.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
Jeez.
What time are we looking at, Shane? Are we making a good time?
Yeah, we're at 54 minutes.
Awesome.
We're about to wrap it
That's
up.
good. We
I want to
did-
have
we-
a conversation with somebody else. I'm tired of talking to Brian.
Tired of being your business partner.
You mean tired of being my money man?
Whoa, he's shots fired.
He did.
Too bad. Look how much money I got in my pocket. None.
In all seriousness, though, man, I'm glad you came on because it is guys like you that can cause, and our next guest that we're going to have on, guys like y'all that can shed a light to what these guys go through, and you definitely don't agree with what they're having to go through and not getting the rewards for it. And you just keep doing your thing, and you're gonna at least be a part of the cause. I think
Yeah, man.
so.
Be a voice.
That's what we're trying to do.
And that's what I want to do. Yeah. I just want to be.
No, you're doing a great job. Your YouTube videos are awesome. Sugar Sam over there, he's good at making you look cool.
I mean, if
He
you
doesn't
film
pay
one with
attention.
me,
Hey, while you're making drinks,
then you'll know.
We're making drinks? Sprite Zero?
That 10 cups about gone.
man, thanks for coming. I know you're a busy guy, fishing Venice and going fishing with Keith Combs tomorrow, but I'm telling you right now,
Somebody's got to do it. It's a hard life.
don't go to my spot. Tell Keith to stay off my holes.
Yeah, me and Shannon are going to win a lot of money off that this year.
At least $5.
$5 Sunday evening Monterey jackpot derby. You're not allowed to fish those. You're a guide.
Yeah.
That's a juice episode we need to do. All this nonsense about not wanting certain people to fish your tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
Listen. I'm going to end it on this. If you are interested in any form of competition, competitive fishing, and you don't want certain people in it because you feel that they are better than you, where's your competitive spirit? Where is it? It's gone. You don't have any.
It's ridiculous.
In order to be the best, you got to beat the best.
It's silly. Fishing is so hard. You're fishing against fish. I mean, come on. I mean, I know that's a tacky saying we say in our industry, but really it's on you. It's on you.
Right.
Be better.
Yeah. Try.
I
I mean, me and Shannon are going to be tough to beat.
I mean, there'd be a lot of Super Bowl champions if they didn't have to play Tom Brady.
You keep nudging our bar higher.
I
I'm
am
scared to go fishing
my
now.
head is down this year. Down.
We're gonna be Cirrus. We're gonna be Cirrus out there this year.
Sorry,
wrong with you,
we
man?
went R-rated.
What's wrong with you,
we went
man?
R-rated.
I
Sorry.
can't take you anywhere.
You take me everywhere.
Dude, he's an
Edit that out.
Okay.
No, we can't. We don't edit anything off the juice.
Tell them bye.
Yeah, B-Rob.
Guys, we appreciate you guys following us today. Go to Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Spotify.
Apple Podcast.
What else is there out there? Whatever. Appreciate you guys joining us. For Shane Campbell, Wyatt Frankins, I'm Brian Robison. We'll see you next time on The Juice.